versus Kasva. First things first, as we hop in, we are going to be highlighting wherever Wham is going, as he's a Mongol player. We need to know if he got a decent spawn. And by the looks of it, I wouldn't rate this one great, but I've definitely seen worse in recent weeks for this Civ.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're playing with the Mongols, the spawn, or at least the location of that spawn, is just a crucial factor, right? At least you want to have two resources close to your town center, that being wood or stone or wood or gold. Your jackpot is wood or gold. This is not really something that happened over here for Wham, but his base looks decent. At least the gold is at the back, which is definitely nice. The OVO is close to the town center. It's one of those bases that you would just call okay. It's a very compact base, very well defendable, but you don't have two resource deposits very close to your town center.
No, and it's that they're retracted. The fact that they're behind your TC means it's a little bit harder for your opponent to assault. Of course, the other good thing for Wham in this situation is it's not often we see Delhi players aggress their opponent's base. Most of the time, they're looking to play out into the sacred sites, so usually you can get away with a little bit more of a loose spawn. Not sure if we're going to see him run the pastures all the way across from the Uva location, as that tends to be a crime that gets punished more often than not, but it is a possibility in this game. Something to keep in mind is the possibility that Wham expected the Delhi, and it was somewhat of a coin flip in him picking this. Because I'd say the Mongols, to this day, regardless of what we try to do with the maps, because of how hard it can be to calibrate the spawns to be perfect, I feel like they are still the one Civ that is most dependent on map generation out of all A.
Yeah, I agree, especially in mirror matchups, and one of the things that players started doing nowadays is they are deliberately picking Mongols on maps that they know their opponents won't pick Mongols on, because in a Mongol mirror matchup, that spawn is even more impactful. So, as you pointed out, Mongols probably the single most reliant civilization when it comes to the placement of that spawn. And Wham, we could see him dropping a barracks before. He's coming in with a tower rush. And this is probably the single largest vulnerability of the Delhi Sultanate against a civilization like Mongols. If you can cut them off from that gold mine, it could spell disaster. But guess what? Kasva intercepts the villager, the wolf also joins the fun. So that villager will be delayed at minimum.
You thought you could tower rush Kasva? He was born in that, molded by it. You only just begun something that he's been doing for a while now. He knows, he can sense when it's coming. The beautiful part is how the wolf even helped delay it further. And even if he now goes to the tower rush, look where he's gonna have to go. It's the southern side of the base, the furthest point away. And one of the big problems is like the Mongol outpost rush is good against the Delhi if they're ignorant. If a Delhi player is paying attention, do you know what he does, Lidakor? Shivs out, it's time for Fight Club, because they can just heal any damage done to their villages. You can't.
Exactly. Notably, that gold mine is at the back of the base, and look at that, that's a beautiful wall from Kasva. It's a big investment such early on, but if you think about it, you're going to shield yourself from aggression from the left side, and that's where your berries are at, that's where your gold mine is at. And it looks like Wham for now will try to block that wall. You can send out the scout though to discourage that Khan from harassing you. And villagers, did they get this around? No, they didn't. Walls though will be completed. So I'm not exactly sure what Wham can accomplish with this tower. He might be able to deny the berries, but that alone won't be sufficient.
He could deny the berries and the secondary gold and then wrap around the other side. The concern is whether he's then fast enough. The cool thing about actually rushing the Delhi's gold is, unlike other Civ matchups, it's not about blocking them out of feudal. It's about blocking their scholars. The problem with that, however, is as you can see, Kasva was very astute with this. He was fully aware of the problem. He got multiple people out into the gold early on, and he already has enough not only for his tech up, but his first scholar as well.
Indeed, and this is where oh, look at that. He's pulling the villagers, as you pointed out. And the spearmen are isolated. That's actually even bigger. The spearmen went into the base of Kasva over here, so they couldn't help that villager out. You need 2 more spearmen with this, but every second you delay is precious, precious seconds being won over here by the Delhi player.
Yeah, and you see right now Kasva doesn't care about aggressing him, but realistically he could just pull villagers and ship him down right now, and there would be no way that he'd be able to stick on the mining camp. He'll definitely want to get the repairs out in time. You see right now, one big issue for Kasva is he has not set up a lumber camp yet, so hasn't got the trickle of wood to even get repairs out, so might somewhat pay Wham off.
Yeah, that's true, although he has a very safe wood line over here, and this is not something that Wham can easily deny, or at least not in the next coming minutes. For now, mining camp. Oh, he's pulling the villagers.
That's the detail. Yeah, so he could actually repair this right now. Like, he still didn't build the lumber camp, and that's what I was waiting for, to see if he'd let it burn, but looks like he gets the villagers in place quick enough. Hasn't denied him from setting on fire, so Wham will get paid 25 good, 25 gold, and I feel like that just simply shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I agree on that one. Like, he could have repaired this one. Looks like he's a little desperate for gold. You see, the villager actually surviving the town center fire. He's going to get into the base. Villagers also being pulled over here. Oh, you could actually get the villager. It's only 10 HP.
He's down.
Yep.
Damn, he went down so fast you wouldn't even believe he was on 10 HP there. Just slapped round the face, backhand pimp slap, takes him down to 1, it looks like. Walk in will cost 1 villager, 1 spearman apiece. At the end of the day, you have denied him of the gold. The problem, however, Kasva, he did get 135 gold together. Not enough for the double scholar, but very close to being able to get a second. And even if you just get 2 to begin with, the healing can be enough for you to push out and take your gold back.
Yeah, looks like the mining camp was lost, and notably Kasva also lost 2 villagers in that fight. He only took down 1 from Wham, so Wham has a pretty decent start over here. This tower rush definitely did some damage. And behind this one, it looks like we're a little low on sheep, as Salami is showing us under Wham's town center. Luckily, the berries are closed, so that could buffer him up for some time, but he's gonna need to add pastures, and that could slow down his aggression here. In the meantime, Kasva looks like he's stabilizing. The question is, what now for him? Because he's yet to add a production building, so he definitely has been delayed compared to an optimal build.
And it was expected when he was in Straggler Trees. You can see he was actually saving the wood. I still think that maybe the mining camp was a misclick because he should have repaired that. He had 44 wood and he was still gathering far away on the tree line. So he wasn't just going for the lumber camp as quickly as possible. So a little bit surprised that he allowed that money to go into the pocket of Wham. Interesting thing to think about with the berries for Wham is like, yeah, he does have the berry as a backup food source, but it is notably worse than the sheep. That will slow down his rate of production as well, and also his ability to tech up. By the way, although Wham will be able to tech up in the feudal, if he tries to rush castle at any stage, he risks throwing this game away because, as we know, when you face the deli, you have to give attention over the sacred sites. And it looks like Kasva should still have a good timing to move out towards them in the next 2 to 3 minutes.
And villagers being pulled alongside the scouts, you should be able to torch down that tower. And this is the problem that Wham is facing, sending those spearmen into the base of Kasva over here. He can't help that tower with the spearmen he currently has. And at one point, Kasva is just going to fight those spearmen as well. As you said, any damage can be healed up, or you just send your archers to clean this up. And with that, all the aggression from Wham will be gone. So now the question becomes, what exactly is Wham going to do? Because he's very far away from fast castling this.
Yeah, so Wham in this situation has to actually get involved. He can either participate through outposts to block and slow down the capture rate of Kasva, or he can build up an army. The most popular format for the Mongols in this situation, especially after you see the archer range, is to just pull horsemen. You can double produce, you can somewhat keep up, but note there is an inevitability that you will eventually fall behind. It's very difficult long-term to trade with the Delian Feudal because they're able to heal and you're not. So while Wham will likely field some units here, he will try to sneak castle alongside it.
And Wham has spotted the archers coming out, so Horseman response could be legitimate here, but he does lose the Khan on the right side. Nice pursuit by Kasva, which limits Wham's vision quite a bit. In fact, if you take a look at Wham right now, he's got 0 military, not even a single scout out. So Wham for now is playing completely blind, and you know you're in trouble when you're placing a Gur on berries. That's not going to be a good long-term solution. Ooh,
no,
Hunter's also exposed.
Yeah, he shifts out onto the deer first. This is an interesting approach right now. He's playing off the fact he doesn't expect Kasva to go to his base. Instead, Kasva's going to go to the sacred sites. So Wham now gets that better gathering rate at 0.83 food per second on the deer. And that should allow him to escalate quite quickly. And we can see this in numbers already. Wham already halfway towards castle age on the build-up of food. And after that, it will not take him long to build into the step readout.
I like this quite a lot, if you think about that, because there is already towers on the sacred sites that's going to slow down Kasva. And as you pointed out, if you're the Delhi player over here, your focus primarily is on the sacred sites. And by the time Kasva takes control over those sacred sites, Wham is going to be able to capitalize on the hunt and even the berries. But as you said, it's mostly about the hunt, and you see Sanctity is just now finishing. He was delayed adding scholars, and that has an impact on his Sanctity timing here.
He has bigger problems than that as well. Like, Wham has baited him in. These 2 horsemen are just here to keep you in your base, and they're succeeding in that. On top of that, check what's happening on the sacred sites. You might notice some blue dots on the minimap for good reason.
Yep.
Wham is trying to block them out with outposts to delay him further. And it looks like at this rate, Wham might be able to begin his tech up before Kasva even captures a single sacred site.
This delay tactics is working out to perfection here for Wham, because, as you pointed out, he cannot take good engagements over here, so it's all about slowing him down as much as possible. Slow him down with the Sanctity timing by tower rushing the gold, and after that, just drop towers on the sacred sites, because you know Kasva needs those sacred sites. And behind this one, Wham was able to skip adding pastures because his hunters are not being harassed. and he can also rush Castle Age over here, come in with the Step Redoubt, and then follow up with the casual Mongol stuff. Add a Prayer Tent, start picking up relics, start adding Lancers. And the beautiful thing here is that he still has a good stockpile of stone as well, because the only thing that he used stone for was essentially the first few Spearmen and 2 Horsemen. So that stockpile of stone will also help him add a couple of Lancers at the beginning of Castle Age in batches of 2.
And can I just say, I love how the Mongols have evolved. I didn't say I love Mongols, I just want to clarify that straight away. But I love how the Mongols have evolved their game. What is the thing that French players have understood since about week 2 in this game? I control mid-map, I can farm where I want. Mongol players have been playing that same sort of tempo off the back of their outpost rushes, blocking in their opponents, and it means they're able to play pocket ecos too, out onto the deer, out onto exposed lines that usually you wouldn't access with the old builds of Mongols, and as a result, Ram is able to very briskly reach up into Castle Age just as Kasva has captured the first Sacred Site, and now begin the push of heavily armored units, which Kasva has 0 counters to in the field right now.
That's exactly it, and you see, as Kasva is capturing those Sacred Sites, he's going to get a very nice trickle of gold, which will ultimately get him to Castle Age. The problem is that by the time he reaches that point, Lancers will hit the field, and those Lancers will just decap the Sacred Sites, and Kasva, of course, he could add Spearman as a response to that, but of course you do have Wham with the ability to add Man-at-Arms to respond to that, and now you have a massive tech advantage over here for Wham. Might even be able to intercept the Scholar over here. If he gets the kill on that Scholar, that's even bigger.
Yeah, that was quite the bait. The Khan just skips off into the Merrylands there.
Oh, he's gonna survive.
The Horseman Scholar will survive, but even with that, think about the delay. The extra 10-15 seconds is now going to take you to even capture that Sacred Site. It's slowing you down. Look at the resources for Kasva right now. Only halfway in both food and gold to what he needs. And already we see the first units coming out. 3 Lancers into the field and soon more to follow. Kasva's only response available is to go back for Spearman, thus further delaying his tech.
And as you pointed out, the problem here is the delay. And Kasva is sort of stuck in between 2 places. He's floating a ton of resources. You see, he's got the food for Castle Age, essentially, but he's lacking the gold. So he's not turning those resources into army, but he's not turning that into a tech up either. Which means that he's just going to get overrun by superior numbers of higher tier units over here. He needs either. He needs more units on the field, or he needs Castle Age, but he simply can't reach either of those because he's lacking gold.
And look, there's 2 Lancers, always at least 2, because otherwise the heal rates this many Scholars can exceed the damage you do. But in this situation, he has to run away. Remember, these Scholars at this stage heal 7 health per second. So 3 of them can offset practically all the damage of Lancers. And because he brings 2, Kasva's only choice is to walk away in shame, surrendering over the Sacred Site. He just fought so desperately to get his hands on.
And the thing is that once you surrender those Sacred Sites, your gold income is going to collapse. Oh, look at that. That's actually a boar play over here. Well, wasn't perfectly executed, let's just say that. I see 2 dead bodies. Wait a second. I think there's a villager that just died after the boar died. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see it. I saw what looked like someone wearing clothing being hidden under the boar so that we couldn't expose it. But they definitely, there was only 3. I swear, Lidakor.
You saw the dead body? The one that just disappeared? I think he actually died after the boar died. But anyways, we're gonna have 3 little villagers there hunting the boar. We have seen Mista start doing this with the Mongols like 1 or 2 weeks ago. And it plays into the same concept that you mentioned before. It's all about using the map control that you're able to establish. And now you have map control with the Lancers. You are the one forcing Kasva to defend because you have the mobility advantage even. So as you pin Kasva inside his base, you can just take the hunt from all across the map. And now the Lancers are swooping in. They're going to spot the tech up as well. Uh-oh,
yep,
this could be bigger.
The will at least minimize the villager losses, but the bigger problem is he can slow down his tech up here. Right in, Spin moving across now, will force Wham back. But he's got you exposed, he's got you bent over the barrel here and blocked off in your own base. Yes, the tech up will come through, but Kasva, without a quick way of moving out. And folks, right now we only see 4 Lancers. Would you like to look at the top of the screen, Lidakor, and tell me just how many more are coming?
Yeah, there's way more than that, and you see all of these Lancers will actually make it out alive. Castle Age finally hits for Kasva, but...
No.
Oh, this is looking bad. This is looking really bad right now.
Yeah, the head patters just waving at each other. Meanwhile, the Spearmen are all aggroing out the base. Mistakes have been made. Kasva will garrison the Skulls in time, but he doesn't have any Spearmen at home to hold here. Only 2 against 4 Lancers. That's not going to trade well.
And those are all feudal age units. Those are all feudal age units. And And with the deli, it's going to take a lot of time for you to get those Castle Age upgrades. This is why you want to get to Castle Age faster with the deli than your opponent, because you need a lot more time to capitalize on those upgrades. So all those spearmen, those will be feudal age spearmen for a long, long time. And behind this one, you see that Vam is already making the next step here. He's picking up the relics every single time. We are seeing Vam doing something. Oh, it's the knight getting stuck over there for a brief moment. He just feels like he's one step ahead compared to Kasva now. He's playing from an advantageous position, and he's just further building that advantage step by step.
Yeah, and he's always checking around these sacred sites. He's trying to block out any additional caps to slow down Kasva's build-up now. Yes, he's arrived in Castle Age, but he hasn't attained full value. You can see that Kasva is now going into the Lancers, and you know, off the back of this, you have to question whether it's valuable, because he did go for the Compound Defender. He didn't go for the House of Learning, so he doesn't have the ability to get the home blades, which means his Lancers don't trade any better.
Oh, this could be a mistake.
Sidestep it. Spearman
This...
does go down. So he gets one with the Spearman, but overall, like, the Lancers are fine. Now you have to slow patrol guard them. And while you're doing this, look what he can do. He can shift in, because if Wham sees this food line, you're going to be shrinking that eco count further.
And look at this. Vam has stockpiled 1,000 wood in the bank. You know what that means. He's dropping that second town center. And we're just seeing a textbook Mongol play so far. You have the Lancers out. This is going to give you map control. It also gives you a very nice unit to surround elephants with and get rid of those. Gives you great raiding potential as we're seeing this. And behind this one, you can also have an eco build-up behind this. This is looking really good now for Vam. Will slay a couple more villagers on the south as well.
Cheeky little body blocks against the house, forced them the long way around. So far, Kasva has been saved a lot of injuries due to textiles, but the problem he's got right now is not good enough to keep your villagers alive, because Wham's moving in for that standard second TC that we see so often after you pick up the relics. And while he does that, he raids in this time, striking down a few villagers, because Kasva's big issue is he has only 5 spearmen, and spearmen by themselves are already notably slower than lancers, but also they can't be everywhere at once when there's only 5.
And right now, the resources are favoring Wham as well. He's got the step raid out powering his eco. He has denied the sacred site, so he can just simply flood his enemy with units. Something that we commonly see from the Deli. But right now, the Deli is the player that's being overrun by units. Looks like this is a questionable fight here for Wham. Taking the fight under the town center will be repelled back for the time being. Switching into crossbowman is Wham now, seeing all the Lancers coming out from Kasva. But Wham, he has to be happy with this. He could be up to 4 relics here in a matter of seconds, and he has managed to deny all 3 sacred sites from the opponent, while also building up a second town center for himself behind this, now possessing a 10 villagers lead, plus of course a notable relic lead as well.
That's the whole point behind why he threw them in the base, though. You highlighted it there, it's the relics. He done it to draw attention towards Kasva's base. If you think about the way that he's controlled the aggression for most of this game, from start to finish, Wham's goal has been to keep Kasva looking back at his base, and in that he's succeeded. Time and time again, Kasva has to go back. Kasva does not have sufficient walls to keep his opponent at bay, and time again, when he should be playing the midfield for his own advantages, he finds himself checking his flank because Wham's found a way in again.
And this is how you deal with tempo-aggressive civilizations. For example, the Delhi Sultanate. The Delhi always want to be the aggressor. They want to be the civilization that overruns you with units, gain map control, get the sacred sites, get that castle-ish timing, get some elephants out there, drop the castle in your face. They want to be the aggressors. And right now, the Delhi player is the defender, and we're seeing that Vam is just using that so well here. Gaining more map control and really capitalizing on the map control that he managed to gain.
And even converting into sacred sites of his own now, because of course he built into the shamans to pick up the relics. He can pay for them for a while. Meanwhile, dive in. Kasva's finally had enough, but he can't hang around. The crossbowman with the yam allows him to gap close too quickly. He's going to just have to back away. This is the concern right now. Like, Wham, he has enough crossbowmen to hold your lancers at bay, and he has enough lancers to go back into your base again. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see that again, because if you look at the deer stack to the south of Kasva's base, it's under attack.
So are the berries. And lack of mobility is now going to start haunting Kasva. You see, his army is mostly spearmen. He's got some lancers, but those will never have owned blades. And Kasva has this nice 1-2 punch. He's got the crossbowman force back at home to deal with the lancers that are coming in to raid his eco, while also has his own lancers raiding the enemy. Looks like a couple of boar villagers here might actually get intercepted, but honestly, this is not much. You're going to pick off 5 villagers, but you're still behind by 17.
Damn, Wham, he big-brained himself there. He charged in, didn't get a reaction, panic, moved away, and then the spinman reacted the second time around. And look at this, the quick migration to the different outposts. What do you mean? The villagers you were not looking for were not here. They don't exist, all right? Go elsewhere. He'll stay alive, and he buys enough time that now all the lancers and crossbowmen arrive, which means that Kasva has to walk away. He's never able to snipe any eco. In fact, I feel like for the last several minutes, Kasva hasn't killed a single villager, and that's why he finds himself so far behind Wham already.
And this is a growing concern for Kasva because he also doesn't have a single sacred site still, which means that his gold income is not spectacular. The eco difference is much bigger than just the actual 20 villagers difference we are seeing here between the players, because you do have the separate out, you do have the second town center going on here for Wham, and Wham has enough wood for a third town center. I actually wonder if that's just a miss-macroed eco, or he's thinking about the third one.
He could be transitioning unit type, because this also is what he's going to need to set up new military buildings, right? So that's a possibility. Could be he's thinking about going to siege as well. Wouldn't expect it right now, considering the amount of cavalry that Kaz is still pushing, but it is a possibility in the future. Possibilities opening up as this wood line starts to thin. It's going to be a new access point for Wham to raid into the base, and right now these spearmen still unable to trade that effectively, despite the fact they're vetted up, because at the end of the day, at any stage, Wham can just peel back and run away deeper into your base, away from the unit that carries it.
Kasva looks like he's finally securing one sacred site in the middle. He was also able to kill that Khan. I think this is the third time Wham has lost his Khan already, so he's not really taking a good care of him. That poor guy is just getting killed over and over again.
This isn't your standard Mongols, Lidakor. This is a democratic Mongol society, okay? Although we may elect a Khan, we don't really care if he dies. We'll just elect another one in 2 minutes.
Well, if it always respawns, why take care of him, right? That being said,
it's just a free unit.
Yep, exactly. And as Salami is showing us, the landmark that Kasva aged up with was the compound of the defender, and that is a landmark that you use as a tempo-aggressive civilization, or that is essentially your key to your aggression, because with the Delhi, you want to be pushing the enemy base, drop a castle in their face. That never materialized for Kasva because he never had that map control. See, he's just now starting to mine stone. Army numbers are equaling out, so I can see Kasva trying to go for like an all-in style castle drop, but even then, it's somewhat questionable whether he can accomplish much with it, because you get the impression that Wham is probably prepared for that, and he's switching into Spearman, which is pretty good against everything that Kasva has on the field right now.
And a big issue, that whole idea of going for an aggressive keep in your opponent's base. Like, have you ever watched one of those kind of funny comedy moments where someone gets angered, like, ah, they start charging, and someone just sidesteps it? Yep. That's the Mongols with keep rushes. They just move their base away from it. Literally pack it up and wheel it away. The only way that it doesn't work is when it's a red palace dropped in your face, because of course that deletes everything that tries to move. But against a standard keep, it just won't work. Kasva's best bet with the keeps is to build a line around the sacred sites, get into village fortresses, and start to boom up in the center of the map. That's his recovery point. But on top of that, he needs to make sure he keeps pressuring Wham, because at any stage, Wham gets the wiggle room to go up to Imperial Age. All of a sudden, this feels like GG.
Exactly. I agree with you. Village Fortress is definitely a way to go. He's aware of the fact that his opponent has multiple town centers, so he needs to catch up with villagers. But Village Fortresses also takes a lot of time to research, so as you pointed out, he needs to continue to put up aggression against Wham. Otherwise, Wham will just go into Imperial and will steamroll him eventually. Looks like we're seeing some more archery just being dropped here by Wham. Probably some archers to respond to those crossbowmen, and Mangonel's now hitting the field as well for the Mongol player.
Yeah, but he needs to cover putting them up, which means the Spearmen have to commit here so he can build it up. But the problem is there's not enough crossbowmen to get the construct done, so instead they'll just engage. He needs to force him away, because another detail off the back of this is Wham is running out of wood. He needs to find a new wood line, so the timing of this aggression is perfect for Kasva to maybe pinch Wham at most crucial moments, but still not enough troops. Will at least get the keep up in the center. Will he? This could actually be blocked. If he commits across to the villagers,
this is gonna be questionable. You gotta pull the villagers to the right side. You gotta pull the villagers here because the crossbows can focus them down already. Oh, keep it 60%. This could be close. Looks like the villagers are not being focused down by everybody. And Vam is going to bail on this.
It's the archers. The archers are actually threatening him right now. The spears are dying too fast, so the keep is going to go up, but this isn't a GG keep. It doesn't block him off the secondary wood line, which you can now see Wham moving over to. So the only way that this works for Kasva, if this is the strategy he wants to implement, he now needs to get a secondary keep next to this tree line here.
Exactly. Now, he is still mining stone, and he's ready to drop a second keep in a matter of seconds. For Wham, of course, he's got the option to start adding traction trebuchets, but as much as Wham's game plan at the beginning of this game was to delay Kasva, we could see a similar game plan here from Kasva. Just saying, okay, you will trap down your Might Castles eventually, but if I can delay you long enough, I can buy myself time to get up to a reasonable villager count and just stabilize. So it's all about buffering up that level of difference that we have between the two players right now for Kasva.
But there's some weird issues occurring here. As you can see on the right and left side, the person with 2 Sacred Sides isn't even the Deli, it's Wham. So even with this pressure, he's actually feeding over free economy to Wham for no reason. There's literally no reason why Kasva couldn't send out a few troops to decap both these sites and get his better gold trickle going. Because remember, while Wham is getting 200 gold a minute from these 2 Sacred Sites, Kasva could be getting 300 gold. And he wants that gold right now because of the units he's investing into. Crossbows, lancers, and now also siege.
And the overall gold difference, you can see at the top of the screen, 350 gold per minute for Kasva as the Delhi player as compared to 1,000 for Wham. And most of that is actually passive gold income from Wham, 4 relics and 2 sacred sites. And as you pointed out, he cedes control over those sacred sites to the Mongol player. So not only is he giving gold to the enemy, he's also missing out on a tremendous amount of gold income himself.
First in, first out seems to be the story of this card every bloody time. I mean, hopefully, if Wham could get Imperial Age, maybe then we'll see the card last longer than 10 seconds in a fight. Sprill in the meantime, actually just being counted out by Mangonels, will not be met by someone that can insta-sniper down, at least takes 1 mango with it. So actually a decent trade there for Kasva. But the problem right now is the creeping siege. 3 trebuchets in the field, and that's going to escalate further. Behind this, you might be able to establish another keep, but the issue for Kasva at that stage is with 4 to 5 trebuchets seeming realistic for the Mongols, those keeps won't last long.
Exactly, you only have a handful of villagers repairing it, and of course, Springhold's now rolling in will completely prevent Kasva from sniping down those trebuchets.
Straight in.
Ooh, this could be big though. That's the big gold knife for Wham.
Kasva doesn't know. He doesn't know where he went. He's confused right now because remember, he doesn't have scouting vision here. He goes the wrong way.
Oh, that hurts so much. He's gonna find it though. He needs to probe the large gold mines. Yeah, he sees that. That could be big.
Wham knows. He's gonna shift back. Makes his run away and they're going the wrong way. Kasva got distracted in the center. Oh no. And that'll give time for the spears to respond. So these lancers don't achieve much. They at least delay the gathering on the goal, but they don't snipe the eco they sought so dearly.
And this is painful for Kasva. He's down by 40 vills. He needs every single villager. Oh no!
The villagers on the stone that he desperately needs. Kasva at least lucky that you don't need stone to repair keeps yet. Otherwise, he would be royally screwed at this stage. But he still hasn't even noticed. The only good news is maybe not all of them die because Textiles gives 75 health and Sprinkles only deals 60 damage. So you're not being insta-shot down by each of these outposts.
I mean, does it matter when you don't even notice it for like 5 minutes? And of course...
He has to eventually, right? Like, that's what I'm gambling on here. He's got like 1.5 times... Oh, actually, basically 2 times the time. There we go.
There we go.
There's the power of Textiles, folks. But that's the
power
power
that's out immediately.
GG. Oh, no. Kasva. He realizes there's nothing left. He's being breached on multiple fronts, no way to recover. Wham! What a schooling he just gave to the man that banned the Delhi away from him.
Oh man, this was something else. Wham has played such a masterful Mongol play over here. As you pointed out, it was the delay game into just that slow escalation, and ultimately, it came down to a certain extent, some attrition, but it was that slow build-up of advantages for Wham. It wasn't really about one big fight that Wham won, it was mostly about the fact that Wham, in every single engagement he took, he was the one having the upper hand, and in every single instance or scenario in this game, he came out victorious. Small victories snowballing into one big win in the end. Wham moves on to 1-0 against Kasva.
Yep, best of 5, so if he wins 2 more, he's going to be through, and Kasva's going to be in the dirt, so not the end of the world too soon, folks. Still plenty of action. A treat between these two, but a bigger treat that we notice here now is how fixating on the Delhi can be a little bit of a bait. If you have mid-map control, while you have it, utilize it. The thing that Wham done here that was so phenomenal that ensured he secured his game is that he played out of his base with villages.